Bacteria and viruses that are deadly to one type of creature can quickly evolve to infect others. While COVID-19 is the latest example, there have been plenty of infectious and deadly diseases that have hopped from animals to humans in recent years. So maybe think twice before letting some random performance monkey in Bali climb all over your head. You're watching Ideal 10, and here are 6 deadly diseases that came from animals. Number 1. HIV and AIDS. HIV is the virus that causes AIDS. According to the CDC, AIDS has been traced to a type of chimpanzee in Central Africa. Common theory says it was likely passed to humans when they hunted these animals for meat. After being exposed to their infected blood, the virus turned into what we now know as HIV. Studies, as well as the CDC, suggest that the virus may have jumped to humans all the way back in the 1800s. But what exactly does HIV do? Well, it completely destroys the immune system, therefore opening the door to a host of fatal diseases. For example, tuberculosis, which kills nearly 250,000 people living with HIV each year. In just 2018 alone, 770,000 people died from causes related to HIV, and 1.7 million people were infected with the virus that year. HIV can spread between people through an exchange of bodily fluids, and mothers can even pass on the disease to their young in the womb. At the end of 2018, 37.9 million people were living with HIV. Number 2. Ebola. Ebola virus disease, caused by one of the 5 strains of the Ebola virus, is a widespread threat to gorillas and chimps in Central Africa. The CDC says the disease has been spread to humans either from bats or other primates. Yes, similar to COVID-19. The disease was first identified in 1976 near the Ebola River in now what is called the Democratic Republic of the Congo. People can catch 4 of the 5 strains of the virus as long as they come in contact with an infected animal. It can then spread to other people through close contact. The awful symptoms include sudden onset of fever, intense weakness, muscle pain, headache, sore throat, vomiting, diarrhea, rash, kidney and liver failure, and even in some severe cases, internal or external bleeding. According to a source, the average fatality rate for this virus is 50% and has even gone up to 90% in some situations. Number 3. Mind control parasite. A bizarre parasite known as Toxoplasma gondii is so crazy that it may even contribute to forms of schizophrenia. Some studies suggest the parasite will infect the brains of about 2 billion people worldwide, including about 40 million Americans. However, its primary hosts are house cats. It reproduces in the feline's gut and then can be found in its feces. Humans can get the parasite from simply scooping up their cat's litter. Once your boy T. gondii enters its human host, it hides out in areas of the body such as the brain or heart. Eggs are then planted and soon become an active form of the parasite, which multiply and spread. The name mind control stems from how rodents infected with it seem to forget their fear of cats. Therefore, they're made easy prey for these cats, and when the cats do eat them, they just get the parasite themselves. The CDC says that infected humans show no noticeable symptoms for the most part. In about 10 to 20% of the cases, mild symptoms show up, and these include flu-like aches and swollen lymph nodes that can last for weeks to months. Severe reactions can cause loss of vision or even brain damage. Number 4. Influenza. This virus appears to have come from pig herds, with a new reassortment of influenza viruses. This means that the viruses basically just swapped genetic information, which occurs naturally in North American and Eurasian pig herds. Now, everyone has heard about the influenza pandemic. In 1918, this disease swept the world within months. killing an estimated 50 million people, more than any other illness in recorded history. The H1N1 influenza virus was first identified in the United States by military personnel in the spring of 1918. The virus killed an estimated 675,000 Americans, according to the CDC. Unlike most flu strains that mainly put the elderly and people with compromised immune systems at risk, the 1918 strand hit young adults the hardest. In just 1 year, the average life expectancy in the United States dropped by 12 years. As if you thought it had given up? In 2009, another H1N1 virus infected approximately 60.8 million people across the world. Number 5, the bubonic plague. Nothing beats the 14th century Black Death, also called bubonic plague, for sheer and utter global impact of a single disease outbreak in bringing civilization to its knees. Corpses piled in the streets from Europe to Egypt and all across Asia. An estimated 75 million people died, at a time when there were only about 360 million people living on Earth. Death came in a matter of days, and it was excruciatingly painful. There have been many theories that have tried to explain where the plague came from. Plague itself is a bacterial disease caused by Yersinia pestis. It is carried by rodents and even cats, and hops to humans through bites from infected fleas, often found on rats. It is thought that these rats that snuck onto human ships had these fleas, and those fleas obviously infected the sailors. The disease then piggybacked along trade routes from China through the rest of Asia and on into Russia. Strangely enough, Yersinia pestis was actually dormant for centuries in Asia's Gobi Desert. Somehow, someway, it was able to infect these fleas, and the rest is history. Number 6, COVID-19. As we all know, coronavirus has emerged onto the scene all over the media and has seemingly caused panic for millions on a worldwide scale. Massive companies, schools, shops, local businesses near you have been shut the down. Some sources say that the disease was identified at the end of December 2019 in Wuhan, China, while others speculate that many countries knew much earlier. Officials suspect the source was somehow linked to a wet market nearby. Genetic analysis of the virus suggests it originated in bats. Many think that the bats' bodily fluids were mixed with neighboring foods in the market, causing a human to come in contact with these fluids, most likely blood, therefore causing he or she to be infected. Some speculate that the disease actually had nothing to do with bats because it had apparently originated from a seafood market where no bats were present. Instead, they believe there was an intermediate animal known as the pangolin, an endangered ant-eating mammal that actually spread the disease to humans. Either way, currently at the time of this video, the United States has 549,000 confirmed cases of COVID, as well as 21,000 deaths. Will this number rise at an alarming rate? I'm not sure, I guess we'll see. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment down below how coronavirus has impacted your life.